Hello, I am Johnny Cassidy. I am a writer, lyricist, and novelist. Today we're going to talk about 4 essential things you need in an opening number of a musical. Number 1, the theme. What are you trying to say with the show? We always are making fun of Grease because it's like the girl changes completely for this guy and it doesn't necessarily end up being like a good message. That's something they could have figured out in the theme. Some theme examples are about loyalty, betrayal, life and death, good versus evil, coming of age, just to name a few. Theme is kind of what taught me to learn how to write, because it's the one thing that's in musicals, TV, and film where the best ones always have a clear theme. For example, one of my favorites is the SpongeBob movie. The very clear theme is being a man. Hairspray's theme, I would say, is diversity. Not only do they talk about the racial issues, but they also talk about body issues. For my musical was authenticity, and it was about being authentic leads to good outcomes. Number 2, an undeveloped belief. So the reason I say underdeveloped is because obviously if you come into a musical and start out, you don't already know the answer to the question you're about to ask. For Mamma Mia, it's Sophie wants to get married very young, and she's very focused on getting married. Obviously, if she came in saying, I don't need to be old enough to get married, then there's no movie. Next is number 3. So number 3 is kind of, what is this opening number going to center around? And there's a lot of really fun examples and choices I've kind of put together for you. Location, character, an unanswered question, or time, or day in the life. Location would be a song like Skid Row or Good Morning Baltimore, In the Heights, something that is very it's important to say what's going on around you, but also make sure that connects to your theme. For example, if Hairspray is about diversity, there's a reason it's in Baltimore. We talk about the people in Baltimore. We talk about what's going on in there. In Skid Row, from Little Shop, it's literally describing how poor everybody is, because then there's a reason Seymour getting rich is a big deal. If he started out, if the town was rich and he got rich, he would just be normal. I mean, LA. Then there's character. Character, Sweeny Todd, Belle from Beauty and the Beast. I would say Beautiful from Heathers. It doesn't necessarily have to be named after the character, but the entire opening could be about the character and maybe everybody's personal beliefs about that character, what that character swirls up when they enter a room, why is this character so important? And that kind of ties back to the theme, because we want to know why people are talking about them, and maybe that even leads to an undeveloped belief. If, for example, my musical Victoria Gray, it's everybody singing about this one girl, but it's mainly because they believe that she is a god, and that's an underdeveloped belief. If they knew who she was, then her being a god wouldn't necessarily be impactful, but the fact that they are underdeveloped and not necessarily sure of what that means is why it's important. I would say an unanswered question, for example, if you ever seen the Death Note musical, that it's called Where's the Justice, and it's cool because justice is the theme, and kind of emphasizing that there's not an answer to whatever the world is when it starts out. In the current musical I'm working on, I'm trying to kind of go for the unanswered question, where they're oh, how do you heal a broken heart? And I want the underdeveloped belief to be, oh, you can't, you just have to suffer, it is suffering. Because the theme overall is about independence and love and sacrifice, or independence and love, whatever. Time, or day in the life. Where are they at in this time period? Time period and a day in the life, just depending on where that is. For example, I would say Good Morning Baltimore would fall under time or day. That's one of the hacks where you can get both, I guess. There's not a lot of classes on musical theater, story structure, and writing, and this isn't a flawless system. It's kind of do it yourself, which is exciting. It's cool, actually. And then after you got your theme, your undeveloped belief, and what it's about. Now you're going to kind of get into a little bit of logistics. If you want, you can also do this later, or you can do it. I like to do it when I'm actually writing it because it's fun for me. Who's going to be in it? So I feel like there's about 4 options I personally choose. There's ensemble, like Nobody Mourns the Wicked. One person, like Anything Goes. Only Leads, Ordinary Days, or only supporting, like Alexander Hamilton. So here's an example. Like if you wanted to do an ensemble number, you have like a couple ways to go. Like that would be really interesting for like location or character, because then it would be like, okay, if it's location, then we could kind of talk about what's going on around us, like in the Heights, like where everybody's at in the town. Like Mamma Mia, for example, there's Honey Honey, like she's singing by herself. There's not a lot of one-person openings. I generally don't prefer those, but they definitely exist. I would consider like one-person like opening numbers, like Good Morning Baltimore, because everybody else is just doing harmonies and it's mainly her song. But that's like a really interesting, because it's like you're using a location that generally should be about people. And then there's like Oh My God, You Guys from Legally Blonde, which is all supporting. And, like that's why I put only supporting in there, because sometimes everybody but the main character sings. Oh, Skid Row, that happens too, I think. Skid Row, Seymour, like, sings last. I mean, of course, the main character's gonna sing, no matter what, but I just wanted to... That I do think the vast majority is, like, that's an only supporting song. And then there's, like, only leads of musicals, like, Ordinary Days does that, where it's just, like, lead, belief, lead, belief, lead, belief. I did that with my most recent one, Victoria Gray, because I was like, oh, I kind of want to know what each of my characters are thinking one by one. Like if I chose to make it a one person, that would be hard. But it's cool. You could like switch it up. You could do like an unanswered question. But yeah, so if you want to comment like your favorite musical numbers, any like thing you want to add to this, like this is kind of my personal writing experience. I use this to kind of move, mix and match what I'm doing when I'm starting to write a musical. But yeah, like whatever you guys think is like the magic sauce to making a good musical, let me know in the comments. And I'd love to get more into talking about like song structure. I'm a very organized person, so I like to make videos with lists. So hopefully I'll be making more videos. I guess I might put them up here. So yeah, watch another video if you want. And thank you for watching. Musical writers, good night.